beautiful Monday morning. Yes, and we hope it is beautiful wherever it is you're watching us from this morning. You're welcome to AM120. Of course, a brand new week's edition. I am Oluwafunbi Bello, saying welcome once again.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on AM120 on BCOS television this morning. My name is Florence Scherer, and thank you for joining us once again.
All right, we take you through the dailies, the weather report, and of course, our interview segment. And this morning, I will be starting with the Vanguard newspaper. On the front page, we have stories from Saturday's election from Ekiti. It says 6 out of 7, how APC swept Ekiti. Governor, 5 by-elections, lost Rivers to PDP. And that story is on page 5. And of course, on page 8, oil sector reps threaten sanctions over poor PRA implementation. Serap wants 110 billion naira recovered from lawmakers after court voids allowances others, and that story is on page 9. Oyo school kidnap, troops block escape routes as terrorists reduce demands. Kidnap kingpin, indigene of Orire local government radicalized by Ansaru group. Police Igboho clash over release of kidnapped victims. That story is on page 30. Wet season farming. Frustration hits farmers over sharp rise in input costs. And that story is on page 11. And on page 6, terrorists invade Kebbi community, burn buildings, abduct residents. And that's all stories we have on the Vanguard, on the front page of Vanguard newspaper this morning. And of course, on the front page, we have a picture of some APC members jointly displaying INEC result sheets in Ado Ekiti yesterday. Of course, including Governor Abiodun Oyebanji. That's the winner of the election, taking some of the inside stories now, heading straight to page 28. Southeast leaders exploring political solution for Nnamdi Kanu's release, and that's coming from Umai. Igbo youth back SEDC seek more federal appointment for Southeast. INEC delineation, Itshakiri communities demand Ijala ward threaten oil shutdown. And that story is on page 29. Pipeline security, alleged plot against Tantita could trigger crises. And that's coming from Huskon. Community leaders mobilize against crime in Ndokwa. And more stories on politics. How APC swept Ekiti. Governor, 5 by-elections, lost Rivers to PDP. Nigerians in UK decry passport renewal delay, accuse NIS of frustration, urge Interior Minister to intervene. And that's on page 32. Moving on to the back page where we have some sports stories. Messi back in action as Argentina face Austria. 2026 World Cup. Spain spanks Saudi 4-0 to go top of Group H. 2026 World Cup, Trust Ekong tips Ghana to rattle England. Mbappe, France roll out guns for Iraq. And lastly, we have Egypt denies Salah rift ahead New Zealand clash. And that's all we have on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Florence, over to you.
Thank you very much. I have with me the Nigerian Tribune this morning, and the major story on the front page: security to top agenda as senators reconvene tomorrow. Akpabio Oshiomole's feud may deepen. Ex-Edo governor, not a reason for reconvening, says Senate spokesperson. Lawmakers free to move motion on any subject. Tinubu Oyebanji, APC celebrates Ekiti governorship victory. It's validation of Tinubu's government, says Oyebanji. NBA applauds peaceful, orderly polls. Ekiti election reflects polling unit results, Yaga, Africa. Still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, Labour braces for change as UK Prime Minister stammers exit looms. Orire abduction, troops closing on kidnappers' hideouts. 168 high-profile terrorist commanders neutralized, says Abdusalami. Abdusalami urges Nigerians to unite against terror, support security agencies to defeat evil. Still on the front page, on the health segment, saliva tests can predict dangerously sleep-deprived persons, says scientists. And that's all we have on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Now taking stories inside of the paper, JAMB admonishes affiliated degree programs in College of Education. That's on page 2. On page 3, NAF intensifies air offensive against terrorists, bandits in Northwest, neutralizes criminal elements. Moving on from page 3, we have on page 4, ASU Konwa demand withheld salaries after federal government cleared 5 months unpaid allowance. Insecurity, NAF boosts special forces, capacity graduates, 111 operators. Labour braces for change as UK Prime Minister Starmer exits looms. Moving on from that, we have on the business and economy on page 5, CMFC eyes transformation of mineral sector, completes corporate name change. Looking for more stories to take, petrol, diesel prices may take next 6 months to normalize, says experts. AFDB becomes first institutional stakeholders, injects $100 million. Dimension Data seeks 5 billion naira from bond markets for fiber network expansion. Looking for more stories, we have on page 8, Secure Nigeria, Protect Nigerians, NSC urges Tinubu. Moving on from that, we have on page, looking for more stories to take. On business, sustaining economic growth, stability via pipeline, surveillance operations. On tax and taxation, tax experts urge NRC to extend June 30 filing deadline amid transitional challenges. Cross River holds public hearing on revenue administration, harmonized taxes and levies. Taraba, Yobe, accelerates push for automated tax administration. Corporate debt market stays active as FMDQ enables faster capital formation. South Africa standard targets. Moving on from that, we have on energy, global energy landscape. Africa must build industrial capacity, says Ogundare. Looking for more stories to take on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. More stories to take. Tinubu Oyebanji, APC celebrates Ekiti governorship election victory. It is a clear vote of confidence in community stability, says Tinubu. It's validation of Tinubu's government, says Oyebanji. Results reflect polling unit votes, Yaga, Africa. Still on page 22, EU delegation visits EU-funded election results analysis dashboard center in Ekiti State. Oyebanji visits PDP candidate Oluyede. Tinubu Oyebanji APC celebrates the governorship election victory. We'll now go on a commercial break right now, and when we come back, we'll continue from page 24 of the Nigerian Tribune. Don't go anywhere, stay with us.
Supramalt Multivitamin Junior. Supramalt Multivitamin Junior. Being mommy simplified.
And the best student in basic digital literacy is Jadin. Very good. And the best student in kinesthetics is Jamil Lawal. The best student in robotics is Tiara Kolawole.
That's my guy! Hey! Oh, that's my guy!
This award goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Something is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people could have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
Welcome back. It's the AM120 on BCOS television. We're taking the Nigerian Tribune, and on page 24, APC sweeps 5 of 6 seats as PDP claims Rivers Southeast in by-elections. Kwara APC Guba candidates emerge from transparent primary, local government party chairman. I faced pressure picking new deputy, says Diri. On page 25, declare state of emergency on insecurity, McCarthy tells Tinubu. Internal security, Governor Bala Mohammed commissions 2,167 trained vigilante forest guards. Nigeria Climate Summit debut in London as Onugbo assumes global role. On page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune, gunmen kill pregnant woman, young man in Plateau, fresh attack. Private security firms rescues kidnapped victims, hands over suspects to police in Ondo State. NDLEA arrests 2 men for selling illicit drugs to teenage school children. Nabbed 75-year-old woman and others in Oyo raid. Police rescue kidnapped 9-year-old pastor's son. That's all we have on page 26. And on page 27, task force impounds 278 motorcycles in Lagos. Sickle Cell Foundation targets 200 blood donors in Kano awareness campaign. Police confirms death of broadcaster security guard in Ogun State. And on page 29, pollution, NIWA engages firm to clean up Nigeria's inland waterways. Funding pressures won't stop polio fight, says Rotary President-elect Babalola vows. Expert urges CBN, EFCC, telecom operators to adopt coordinated framework against AI-enabled fraud. Moving on to the sports segment of the Nigerian Tribune, why Nigeria missed out on 2026 World Cup, says Ra. World Cup, my best is yet to come, says Yamal. Brighton rule out loan transfer for Johanna. Still on the sports segment, World Cup, Oshaniwa warns Morocco ahead of IT test. And on the back page, World of Sports, we have World Cup Yamal on target as Spain trashed Saudi Arabia. And that's what we have on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. We'll now go on a break where we'll take our weather report and the quote of the day. Then we'll come back. We'll be seated with our guest for the interview segment. Don't go anywhere. Please stay with us.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria.
Coleman!
Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Yes, it's still AM120, and this morning we will be taking a look at the Ekiti governorship poll, an overview, looking at how everything played out in Ekiti. Of course, before we introduce our guest, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared the All Progressive Congress, APC, candidate, Governor Biodun Oyebanji, the winner of the Ekiti State governorship election held on Saturday. The governor was re-elected after polling 319,224 votes over his closest rivals in the opposition, People's Democratic Party, Olumayokun Oluyede, and African Democratic Congress, Dari Bejide, across the state's 16 local governments. Now, it's also good to note that while the APC polled 319,224 votes, the PDP candidate polled 40,533 votes, and the ADC candidate amassed 12,872 votes. To do justice for today's conversation this morning, we have a legal practitioner with us, Mr. Adebimpe Adelowo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you. Looking at the election in Ekiti and everything that transpired on Saturday, let's have your overview first of the election and how it went.
Definitely. The elections in Ekiti tells us one thing, that we have not made any improvement in our electoral process. When we are talking about elections, it has been a tradition in Ekiti and those axes. The Bokosebe, I think that is the normal slogan within that axis. You remember Ekiti, Ondo, and Edo, all those areas. And that is where the prevalence of vote buying was first emerged. And that is the thing, the trend still continues. What difference now is that there has been an increase in the price of vote. Before, it was 5,000 and thereabouts, but now it's ranging between 10,000 and 20,000. Depends on the area and then what have you. Generally, one would think that is a problem of politicians, but I want to differ in that area. It's not only politicians that is corporate here, even the electorates. You know, when somebody wants to sell stolen goods, but he has nowhere to sell it, you know that it will discourage such a thief. But here, we have somebody that's ready to pay for votes, and then we have a willing hands to accept the payment. You know that it's just a transaction. The electoral process has become transactional now, rather than a real issue. that we are talking about.
Yeah, you just mentioned votes buying and selling. Of course, this is a conversation we've been having for the longest in Nigeria. And at the beginning of that statement, you said we have not made any improvement in our electoral practice. Now, apart from the vote buying and selling, what other improvement were you referring to?
Then I want to see a situation whereby it will not be incumbent. Generally, let's have overview of what is happening in the country. It is so shocking or surprising that with the level of insecurity, level of economic hardship, and some other problems or challenges we are facing in this country under this present administration, it will defeat one imagination. And that people will still go out, vote massively for the ruling party that have not made any improvements into the life, living of standard of people.
But when you say, talking about voting for the ruling party, now we know it also has to do with each state.
What impacts? The question will be, what impacts is present administration or incumbent of positive impacts that administration has brought through the systems in Ekiti State? Go to Ekiti. The first thing to do is to just try to do a critical analysis of improvement in the life of average Ekiti indigene, and let me say even resident of indigene. What is the economic situations of Ekiti State? Is there any improvement in their IGR or what have you? And then even if there is improvement in the IGR, as that IGR proceed from IGR brought any meaningful development to the life of the people.
So are you saying, Florence, are you saying the outcome of the election was not the choice of
It's not the choice. I want to say it's not true reflections of the governance delivered in Ekiti.
Well, according to the governor's speech, when he released his speech on, talking about his victory, it says that the people trusted in his mandates and his movements, in what they've been doing. He mentioned payment of salaries, road projects, and he mentioned a whole lot of things that was what the people trusted in that made them to re-elect him.
What is the functions of any elected officials? What is their functions? I want to sincerely say that payment of salary is not an achievement for any government. Definitely somebody is working, they are making money, and you're supposed to pay them in return. That one is not an achievement. Road projects is part of the functions. You can build roads, and if the society is not safe, then what is the essence of that road you built? Of course, in Ekiti, a traditional ruler was just abducted about a few weeks ago. That goes to show that the level of insecurity in Ekiti is alarming. And what is the essence of all those? You see, politicians will always come out to say, oh, it's because why can't they just allow the system to be free? The electoral process to be free and fair. So allow people to make their choice without inducement, without any federal might and some other things.
People also have a choice not to accept whatever amount they have been given.
That is the problem. I've already identified that one. And that is not only the problem of the politicians, also the electorates, the willing hands that want to accept whatever. And then they have this kind of mentality that if you don't take it from them now, for next 4 years, they may not have that opportunity again. And that is why, because the level of poverty we have in this country has already affected its sense of reason, sense of judgment of average Nigerian, to the extent that even the person that wants to kill you will offer you a particular price, and you still accept such price. And so that is the problem we have. That's the problem we have.
We've been talking about, people have been campaigning for get your PVC, everybody should come out to elect their candidates. So do you think this process did not reflect in, because when I saw it, I was like, oh, Nigerians are coming out, trying to do the right thing, because there was an increment of over 100,000, like compared to the last time, over 100,000 votes.
Yes, but one thing you need to understand is that the registered voters in Ekiti is around almost 1 million. Almost 1 million, the valid registered voters. Out of that 900 and something thousand, about 300 and something accredited.
384,000 were
accredited. Only 37577 have the vote. I don't know whether you get that. Now, compare that margin. You will still record low turnout, voter apathy. So we can't just call that one an improvement. What we are looking at is this, that even the winner of last election, when the current government won that last election, the performance was so low, it scored something above 100, and to now, it has already improved by moving from 100 thereabout to 300 and something.
Mr. Dilo, we have a commercial break, and when we return, we'll talk more on voter apathy and, of course, the low turnout of voters during the Ekiti election. Please stay with us.
Home. It's where the aroma begins its joyful parade.
Hearts and bellies filled with
Sizzling beef stew, smoky jollof and chicken, efforiro with better cow leg.
delicious afang. Correct nkwobi made with onga.
Amala, begiri and wedu.
Abula you mean?
Pepper soup, correct banga and starch with fresh fish.
It's up to architect Bisola and builder Brian to rebuild the city.
We'll need some help. Let's get up and go!
You'll need more Cowbell Choco to complete your mission.
To get up and go, give them Cowbell Choco.
No worries, I could make am. Mogo Bible.
Victor, even you can use money point.
Of course now, they use money points.
Confirm.
Money Point, made for your progress.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Still analyzing Ekiti election and all that went down on Saturday during the election. We want to talk about the voter apathy. Before we went on that break, we're talking about the voter apathy and, of course, low turnout. Let's look at it from the 2014 governorship election. We had 50.3% turnout. In 2018, there was a decline, 44.36%. In 2022, 36.5%. And of course, 2023 presidential election in Ekiti State, we recorded 24%. And of course, for Saturday's election, we're already talking about between 34 to 38%. So it feels like there's a decline, of course, a little increase from 2023 from the presidential election. But it feels like, you know, a lot of people are not really interested in coming out to vote. What could be the reason?
Because the reason is very simple. The average Nigerian will believe that whether you like it or not, they will still manipulate the process, at least to suit whoever they want. And the majority will just pull back. That rather than going out to waste my time, especially those ones that are not ready to collect anything from politicians, and they will rather pull back and say, no, I don't want to involve in this. And majority do normally. And then let me say this, majority that's registered for, have their PVC registered, they are not majority that are keen about the electoral process in Nigeria. They only do that because maybe there will be a requirement that that there will be a process that will require them to bring their PVC. Generally. Now, let me go and do
so
this.
Are you saying they're not getting it because they want to truly go
No. And that is the majority, because Nigeria has so feeling difference when it comes to issue of politics and some other things.
There must have been a reason why Nigeria started feeling indifferent about election and, of course, about their choice of candidates.
Because they don't, number one, they don't trust the process. Number two, they've not benefited anything from the process. When you voted somebody in, and rather than protecting their interest, they are now amassing wealth, traveling here and there. Their health care is being taken care of abroad. Their own children are abroad. And why many schools are being closed down? Public schools in Oyo State now are closed down. How many of the words of these politicians are in this public school? Why the private schools are on, and the majority of them don't even have their children outside the country. You understand? Then, when the issue of economy come, you can discover that many of these elected officials benefited heavily. Look at our legislators. They are paying themselves heavy allowance. Why the worker, civil servant, could not even match the half of their own take-home. You see, this will discourage many people to have interest in the process.
How can we build that interest back? Because, we have the major elections coming soon, and we need a change. So how can we, how can we talk to people?
The people that are supposed to arouse that's supposed to drive the interest of the people, the people we have at the ends of affair. It should be a concern for our governments. Why many people will register and then there will be a low turnout during the election. It should be a concern if truly they want to lead the society. But it seems that they just need numbers just to come on board. If in another climb, in 2023, the current administration in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, wouldn't have won that election squarely. Because how can you say out of 98 million that registered for as registered voters, then only 8 million voted for you to be a president? There is a problem somewhere.
And now, when we talk about these issues and of course voter apathy, and it's not just on state level, it's not like you just said, federal level, and there's so much education going out there, encouraging people, talking to people about coming out to vote when it's election period. But it feels like so much is being done about is really not being done about vote buying and selling. We still see that happening, and just like you said, a lot of people come out. In fact, that's one of the it feels like a motivation to people now to come out during election just to collect, sell their votes.
Of course.
Now, when we keep having issues like these, how do we begin to speak to Nigerians? How do we begin to talk to the conscience of Nigerians? And of course, for those who feel like, when I vote, my vote doesn't count, we hear people say this a lot. Unfortunately, when you do not vote, you add to the issue we are still speaking about in Nigeria. Now, where should that conversation begin to start from, or how should we continue that conversation?
You see, we need effort, all hands to be on deck. For instance, all the sectors need to understand why we have to sensitize people on their right to vote and to vote for individual they want. I think what will happen is this. We begin to change the way we construct our constitutions. I think if within our constitution we can have maybe independent candidacy. You see, nowadays, you allow political party to produce flag bearer, meaning you don't have choice. than whoever the political party presents. Then, certain people will see individual the political party presents, and then they will do that. No, I don't like the face of this person. Why? You know, a lot of conversation about the recent coalitions that, oh, this set of people again, hold us again. Then you see so many people who has a lot of reservation against all these individuals. So now moving them out to go and vote in 2027 will be a problem because they have no options. No options available. In APC, you have Bola Tinubu. In ADC, you have Atiku. And some other political party you are. So people will think that, oh, it's the same. Why should I go out to go and waste my time on all this? So I think the process needs to sanitize through our constitution amendments. Oh, I don't even believe in constitutional amendments. I believe that we need to restructure all over again. Let's have a brand new
structuring of the constitution,
a brand new constitution, so that all these our affairs will be taken care of there. So we can give room for it. It should not be necessary that the political party alone will present candidates.
So do you think constitution is a major issue now, or our leadership structure?
Because the constitution created the leadership structure. And when you have a bad constitution and you give room for bad leader to exploit, because we don't really have good leader. I think in some society, if you have bad constitution, and then we have better people that can manage that constitution to make it work for the benefit of the citizen.
So looking at the gap in the election, APC, ADC, and PDP, there was a very, very, very big gap.
Yes.
With PDP, total votes was 40,543, and it's dropped from 67,457 last election. What would you make of this? Is it that the PDP do not have a united front together with ADC?
The problem of...
Before you answer that question, we have a commercial break, and when we return, we'll talk more on that. Please stay with us.
And the best student in basic digital literacy is Jadin. Very good. And the best student in kinesthetics is Jamil Lawal. The best student in robotics is Tiara Kolawole. That's my dad! That's my dad! This award goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Something is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people could have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Florence, over to you.
Yes, I was asking, is this from the standpoint of maybe ununited front? Maybe like no peace in the house from the part of PDP, because considering the decline of the votes.
There is no political party in Nigeria that has peace. No one. But the ruling party will always try to pull themselves together because of the available resources. You understand? And the Nigerian politics is highly monetized. So it only depends on how much can you carve out at least to ensure you mobilize people. Now, in the case of PDP, in fact, I was even surprised that PDP even got 40,000 because
Why were you surprised?
they have a fractured structure already. We have Wiki camp and some other Makinde camp, and you understand. And there is no way you can go through an election with such a divided house. And they have a lot of court issues bordering on the leadership. Then who will coordinate the elections? in the Ekiti state, knowing fully well that they have this kind of challenges within their political party. For them, we should even appraise PDP so that we have certain people. It shows that we have many that still believe in PDP, despite their challenges. The similar thing will still occur in 2027, even if PDP presents weak candidates. It shows that they are going to still spring a lot of surprises. You cannot rule it out that they will win several certain elections. So, and that is, I'm so surprised that they have that 40,000 because it can't. And it was not recorded. The only two political parties we had of maybe sharing money, PDP in that state. It was not recorded and nobody has reported it, that the PDP also buy votes. It's only APC and ADC.
But apart from the party now, talking of the PDP, is it also an issue of the candidate himself? Maybe the people believing and trusting in the candidate.
It might be. You know that it is very funny state. You understand? They have their own way of thinking. So it might be. You know that we have some traditional politicians that they don't want to move away from what they believed in. And you should give that one to Ekiti people. Whatever they believe in, that is what they believe in. There are certain people that we also, maybe in preparation towards 2027, they must have done one thing or the other in order to sustain and retain their base. And that will help in that situation. So, and we should not be surprised that even APC had that margin. It's expected, because if your vote dropped last time, and then the second time, and you don't increase it, it shows that you don't know what you are doing. With all the government apparatus, machinery you have, and with the backing of federal government, then you can score higher than what you had last time. That will be a problem. It shows that you don't know what you are doing.
What do you make of
that
the
is
ADC?
exactly what was recorded this election.
Yes?
A decline in the vote from the last time when they had about 67,467 votes, and now 40,000.
Yes.
But now you're saying that that means the people still have trust.
They have trust.
Is it just about trust, or people do not really trust that particular political party, especially its structure in that state?
When the leaders of a political party that control majorities of their supporters align with a particular political party, you know where that figure will go. Somebody like Fayoshe that controls some majority of PDP in Ekiti, you know that he went about campaigning for Oyebanji, the incumbent governor, against his own political party. So definitely all the supporters, his supporters that trusted him, will definitely go hand vote along that line. So also some others that even some leaders that must have been induced by the federal.
And that's not the first time we will see situation like that. Even at the federal level, we saw Wike, working against his party for the president.
But what happened in River State?
When we have issues like these, especially talking of political structure, and we have members of a particular political party working against their parties. Now, how should issues like these be handled? Especially when we have to talk about the trust of the people, because now Nigerians are saying we don't even know who to trust, we don't even know where to go to, we don't know the direction to take. How should Nigerians take issues like this, and how should it be treated by Nigerians?
Nigerians should not be worried. They can only raise concern, and if they raise concern, they should also step out to put effort together. They can't just be complaining without involving. Nigerians are the set of people that I know. They only complain about a process, but rather than get involved, they will just withdraw. You can see that rather for Nigerians to go to put themselves together as a one unit. Many of them want to be member of one political party or the other. The reason being that they know that is the only way they can also increase their own income. Immediately you become the member of a political party, and then you know that you start having some whatever. And it happens to reflect. And that is why it's very easy for vote buying, because that is the expectations of average Nigeria. Now, let's now take it this dimension, that we can overcome this problem, this challenge, except we try to restructure our society. We can't overcome it. And that's a bitter truth. We can continue. You see, when you have a structure that has a dilapidated foundation, you are still building on it. What effects that can bring out? In our political system, you can see that when you want to, it's very easy for a particular member of a political party to work for another political party. It's because of lack of ideology. And we don't really believe in political system, a democracy we are talking about.
Do we really have ideology?
I say that is like the lack of ideology.
All right. I want us to talk about democracy now, and of course the structures of our political parties in Nigeria, looking at what also played out in the Ekiti election. But before we talk about that, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
And the best student in basic digital literacy is Jadin. Very good. And the best student in kinesthetics is Jamil Lawal. The best student in robotics is Tiara Kolawole. That's my guy! Hey! Oh, that's my guy! This award goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Something is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people could have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. We're still talking about Ekiti governorship poll and, of course, all that went down. But before we let our guests go this morning, talking of democracy, I listened to an interview by the ADC candidate during the election. He talked about everything that went down during the election, and he says, it's against our democracy, against everything we stand for when we talk about democracy. Now, how do you think we can, and of course, this is not just a conversation of Ekiti election alone. We've been talking about our democracy for long, questioning our political leaders and how it feels like they are trampling on democracy in Nigeria. How do you think we can build our democracy? How do you think we can give people that, that strength when we talk about democracy, and of course, that conversation on democracy? How should we strengthen our democracy in Nigeria?
We don't strengthen democracy. It's not necessary to strengthen because we don't have any. Only what you have that is not working well, that is what you need to improve on. But in Nigerian case, we don't have democracy. We only have civil rule, and that is what we are enjoying now. And that is why it's very easy for our leaders, at least, to manipulate even the bad constitution for their own benefits, because we don't have. If you want to have democracy, then we will not operate this kind of constitution we are operating now. This our constitution is a big problem, and we don't need this kind of problem with this. During the birthday the ceremony of this man, Abubakar, that the former head of state, he made mention of one thing, that some people advised him that they should delay the transition program so that they can put a lot of things in place. But within shortest period. What happened? They just pulled so many things together without even examining it, and they brought that 79 constitution or that 79 constitution and then just do a little bit amendment to it. And which is military, that constitution is a military decree that has no input of Nigerians. How will you now operate a military decree and you say you are under democracy? We just have democracy in paper, federal system of government in paper. Then, when you look at the operations of our constitution, you discover that all what we project to be, they are not there. They are not there. The state cannot have control over his security. The state cannot have control over his resources and some other things. Is that the federal system of government?
So are you saying we should not, it should not be a federal structure anymore?
No, it should be a federal structure, but it should be a true federalism, whereby more power given to the state and local government. Let's reduce the kind of power we have at the center. And that is why we have all this kind of complaint. And that is why the level of our insecurity is so alarming. Because before a chief security officer of a state would try to manage his security, he has to get permission from IG of police. If IG of police turn down the commissioner of police, then it shows that that governor could not make use of police.
Now, taking a cue from this election now, and of course we know INEC under Professor Mupiton, it feels like a test looking at the off-cycle election. What should we be expecting for 2027?
And a similar procedure now.
You think that we cannot see something better?
No, nothing. As you see anything better in Nigeria system, the only thing that you can see better is when there is increase in price, definitely that will sustain. But for something to improve for better in Nigeria, that is just a tall order. You can't expect more, especially the way the INEC has handled so many cases, so many issues.
INEC did not handle this election properly?
INEC is not an independent body now. It's only that name reflects.
From the name,
and it only reflects in name, but not in actions. INEC will always look at the body language of the sitting president.
Are you saying that there was influence
of
from
course.
This administration?
Then the administration appointed the INEC chairman. What do you expect?
All right, we have to go. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebimpe Adelowo, a legal practitioner who has been talking to us about, analyzing the Ekiti governorship election and, of course, all that went down. But above all, talking about our democracy and how we can strengthen democracy in Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you talk to us on this conversation. We'll be right back with our second guest. Please stay with us.
No worries, I could make am. Mogo Bible.
Victor, even you can use money point.
Of course now, they use money points.
Confirm.
Money Point, made for your progress.
for staying with us. Yes, it's still AM120, and we're talking about Ekiti governorship poll. Our second guest in the studio, he's here with us. He's a public affairs analyst, Professor Babatunde Adegoke. Prof.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. It's good to have you here in the studio with us. Let's
much.
analyze the Ekiti governorship election. But I want us to start with some allegations made by the ADC governorship candidate, that's Ambassador Bejide Oluwadare. And he said the election day was a bad day for democracy in Ekiti State, a day where democracy took a flight from Ekiti State. I'm not sure, if you followed the trajectory of the election on Saturday, but what would you have to say about that allegation made by the governorship candidate of ADC? And he also said, votes were bought by politicians. He talked about the massive rigging and massive sale of votes, which happened everywhere in the state. He also mentioned some government officials. In fact, he mentioned some specific people from APC who came to his polling booth to oppress and victimize people. And he also said he came with monies, loads of money to share to people. What would you have to say about that allegation?
Well, I want to say that in Nigeria, every election is disputed. And the loser always find the reason for them losing. See, if you say there was money sharing, was it only APC that was involved? We need to investigate that. The mere fact that somebody is shouting on the rooftop that somebody was sharing money, one party was sharing money, that doesn't mean the other party was not also involved. You see, what happens in Nigeria is that sometimes the votes go to the highest bidder. Of course, APC is a bigger party. The party, what does he call it?
ADC. African Democratic
It's just
Congress.
coming up. So he doesn't have as much money to share as the other party. So I don't want to believe that it was only APC that shared money. I want to believe that all of them shared within their resources. So that may not be the reason why the other parties lost that election. But of course, any politician, like students, they want to believe that it's the teacher that failed them, that they didn't fail on their own. Even a student that didn't prepare for exam, they want to say that I failed because the teacher hated me, or maybe didn't even mark my paper.
But do you feel like ADC being a upcoming and up-and-coming party is why they had such low votes? Or would you even say like they tried a little bit with their turnouts?
Now, yes, I want to say they try a little bit. When did ADC, when did it come up? How far back? We are talking of less than 6 months, okay? And they still have litigation and things like that. So that they even had that number of votes, I want to give them credit. Upcoming, they have more time before the general election to make themselves known. How many people go on the street and tell people to mention parties in Nigeria? How many of them will remember ADC? But APC, yes. PDP, you see that in spite of the trouble that PDP has been facing, PDP still did better than ADC, even in the Ekiti state election, because the name is already there. People already know the symbol and things like that. So if they don't know you, how can they vote for you? And let me add this. If you look at the general election that is coming, by now, APC that is in government, one way or the other, is already campaigning. They have renewed hope ambassadors all over the place that are supposed to be, telling people about what the president has done, and that's some form of campaign. These other people, they do. If you are contesting, and you don't have, let's look at Ekiti again. I don't want to go beyond Ekiti. Ekiti already has people in the House of Assembly. Those people have areas where they came from. Would they be campaigning for ADC? So it wasn't just the governor that was campaigning. You have all other people also campaigning for him because it's their party. Whereas this governorship candidate for ADC will be campaigning almost alone. And there was no even national figure that came along to campaign for him. Compare that to the governor. Their mega rally, about 18 governors were there. Plus the national executive, that was also there. Even the vice president was there. Oh, you think that will count for nothing? But an average politician,
but should it be about the campaigns and, of course, the work around the states? What about what you truly stand for? What about showing workings?
Well, are you based in Ekiti? You are not.
No, I'm saying generally now.
I'm just telling you. Yes.
And of course,
when you are campaigning, if you are in government, you should campaign with what you have done. And that if you re-elect me, I will even do better than I've done.
But looking at the outcome of this election now, we've heard about rigging, we've heard about harassment, we've heard about vote buying and selling. Do you think the result actually show a true reflection of the people of Ekiti State, of the interests of the people of Ekiti State?
Well, since that's the outcome of the election, I want to believe so. Because whenever people are contesting the outcome of any election, they say things like, if I have a grudge against you, I will say things that will favor me. Of course, you will say things that will favor you too. So the outcome generally is a reflection of the people's wish. I want to believe that. Because look at the gap between the winner and the other contestants. So even if they paid money did they buy all the voters? And if you look at the result, the outcome, compare that to the last election. If you compare that to the last election, the man came in with about 51% of the vote. This time around, I think it's...
He added over 100,000.
Over 100,000. So what are we talking about?
So are we saying the increment is based on his track record in Ekiti State and what he has done, during his first tenure? Is that what you're saying?
That could be a possibility. But the other possibility is that this time around, they were able to mobilize more people to come out to vote. That's my own objective view. This time around, they probably was able to mobilize more people to
come out to vote, like general voting, or mobilize people to come out and vote for them, like in terms of...
Of course, if I belong to a party, I will tell you to come and vote for me. I won't tell you to go and vote for another party. You can only vote for me. What's my business campaigning for another party?
But in general, it should be everybody come out to exercise your voting rights.
No, it doesn't work that way in politics. You talk to your own supporters, I talk to my own supporters. Now, it now depends on how many from either side come out to vote.
So looking at all the allegations that was made, what is the standpoint of, them petitioning this election, like having maybe a rerun or something?
A rerun? Of course, if they have the evidence. If they have the evidence, of course they could approach the court. But we have seen that in many instances, when politicians complain about the outcome of the election, when they get to court, they have nothing to show. I think the election of 2015 or something, somebody was telling me that they saw people thumb printing. I said, when you get to court, go and show evidence that you are thumb printing. Part of the argument of this ADC governorship candidate was that they already they came with already thumb printed ballot paper. That seems somehow to me. In this era, or by modal verification something, how? Because they are going to marry the vote, the number of ballot papers, with the numbers of people accredited.
So you don't believe that is possible?
I don't believe it. So let's say they've already printed some ballot papers. How did they put it in the box? In the glare of everybody? No. Some things don't make sense.
Okay. Let's look at the issue of petitions now, the issue of, those who lose not accepting their loss. We've seen this happen. This happens a lot in politics, in Nigerian politics, let me put it that way. And, you know, everyone will always come out to talk about how the election didn't favor them, how, you know, it was rigged against them, how, you know, so many things. Why do we not like to, or why, let me say our politicians now, why is it that we do not like to accept defeat? We do not like to hear that, you know, they do not like to hear that they have won. Why is that so? Why can't we just accept and work with the winner to move the state or the nation forward?
Well, it's strange that people don't want to accept their own failure. I just told you, I gave an example of a student that fails. The student will say, somebody failed me. In Nigeria, nobody dies on his own. Somebody must have killed him or her. So it's the same thing. I don't want to accept that I lose an election, even when I didn't prepare for that election, even when I know that if I contest in my own compound, I'm not likely to win. When I lose, I will still blame somebody. I will still find an excuse so that I can sustain the interests of the people that follow me. That's what I think, that they do that to sustain the interests of people that follow them. Maybe as time goes on and we mature more in politics, maybe we begin to see people who will accept the outcome of election. Of course, we had an example in Jonathan. Jonathan accepted, even though it wasn't a perfect election, but he felt there was no point. Let the system go on. In America, do they have problem? They do. But at the end of the day, everybody goes away and prepare for the next election. But the Nigerian politicians don't want to do that. No. They want to make noise. Don't be surprised that that Ekiti election may still go as far as, I think now they don't get to Supreme Court. They get to Court of Appeal. They will still try every possibility. But if you see, some of the things that are difficult to prove is rigging election. Because you have to come with concrete evidence, not hearsay. Now, if you have a party, small party, you don't have polling agents all over. So how do you collect information about rigging? You can only talk of where you voted and a few other places where you have polling agents. In other areas, you don't. And that's the advantage the ruling party has. They have people all over. Not just because they have more money at their resources, but also because they have people in different places in government. I mentioned the House of Assembly. So those people, they are from certain local government. They are senators. They are the House of Rep members. All of them will be campaigning for their party. And most of them we have some influence in their own areas of their local government or senatorial district. And that will come to play on the day of election.
But when we have hearsay, is it not proper for proper investigation to be done? Like, let's find out if what is being spread around, the rumor going around, is actually true. Of course, I support investigation. And you see, at the end of the day, what you have to wait till we get a report of those election monitoring teams. They will come out with their own report. And at that point in time, I will have more belief in what I've heard. But as far as just a politician making an accusation, I think it's just one of those things.
But how can we have a perfect election like you said?
Perfect?
I
mentioned America. I said even their election is not perfect. There have been occasions when another party is saying...
Yes, it might not be termed, perfect election. But, an election void of rigging, maybe massive rigging, vote buying and selling, so much concentration on the winner, where a lot of Nigerians will say, we do not accept, this was not our choice, this was not who we voted, but one way or the other, we are finding this person winning this election. At what point, how can we
Are we sure that is right? That people will be saying, we do not vote for this. When that happened in the past, people rose.
We have seen that happen in Nigeria.
People rose against There was riot in Owo now, in Ondo State, over election, because people believe that their votes didn't count. They knew the people they voted for, and they saw the outcome and they said, no, we are not going to accept this. There was rioting all over the place. So when people don't agree with the outcome, of course they will show their reaction openly. Not that somebody will say some people are saying this. No, they will say it openly. I believe that what we saw in Ekiti State is largely a reflection of the wish of the people. Even if there has been rigging, a situation where you have all previous governors, past governors, supporting the man contesting, not minding the party where they came from. Several occasions I saw fire among them. The last time, the re-elected governor defeated Engineer Oni. He was there campaigning for him. And they also have area of influence. So if Oni, so what do you expect that the supporters of Oni will do? That means he must have told them, this is where we are going. Support this man. Fayose will do the same. So it wasn't just that man campaigning. So there was more campaign on the side of APC than the other parties, but they won't want to accept it.
All right, looking at this election and the outcome of the election, we see that this is the first time in Ekiti where a governor is winning back-to-back election. Now, and I'm also going to talk, this is also to talk about the track record of the governor during his first tenure, and also the interest of the people, the will of the people. Now, are we going to say it's because, of his track record, what he has done so far, his achievement, and people are really willing to bring him back for the second term, or, his campaign was just too good enough for people to say, oh, let's give him another chance. Maybe he's going to do better. I
want to say it's a mixture of both. Yes, he campaigned very well. Because I followed the campaign on TV. So I saw the campaign. But the other side of it is that people may say, well, the evil we know. He's better than the angel we have not seen. So this man, we have seen him. So let's give him another chance. So that's why I say it's a combination of his track record and people just trusting somebody they already know over somebody that they don't know. So yeah.
You mentioned some traditional rulers while you were speaking. Yeah. And, these people have some kind of influence. What would you say about them influencing the people's vote? Should it be that they are campaigning for particular candidates, trying to get people to vote for them? Or should they be like an independent body on their own, not voicing out? They might have their candidates in mind, but should they voice it out to the public? Because a lot of people follow these people and, they listen to whatever it is. They influence their decisions. Should they be invested in election as much as they are?
The ideal situation is that they should not be involved. Because they are supposed to be the father of all. So they should not, openly show that they are interested in this man against this man. Because that is not good for the system. But these days, we already know that most of our obas, they're involved in politics, even though they don't come to the field to campaign. And, okay, if I've been an oba for 20 years, somebody came in 4 years ago, remember me by giving more a big car, pay my salary, ensuring that I get my salary regularly, because I've listened to obas that they said they hold them salary. What will you expect of me as the oba? Will I want that man to go? If possible, I want him to stay there forever. So it's not unlikely that this kind of thing influences the obas to the extent that they be campaigning for the man that they support. So, and yes, that's not what you want, but we know that's what is happening. And like every other, in the past, obas have been involved in politics of Nigeria. So there's nothing strange about it. For instance, the governor of the old Western region, was Oni of Ife. He was Oba and he was a governor of the Western region. And he was able to combine it. And that was the time they even have House of Chiefs. House of Chiefs is still at the Secretariat, where the Obas meet. You see, at the end of the day, the Obas have their existence based on the will of the governor. If the governor doesn't want them, all it takes is to get across to the local government chairman, and they will remove them from office or suspend them. So that is also there. So they have to be very careful that they don't go against the governor. So all those things will influence what they do and how they campaign. In fact, they want to outdo each other so that they be in the good book of the governor, especially if they know that this man is going to come back. So if you oppose the man that is likely to come back, that is almost sure that he's going to win that election. So when he comes back, what will be your lot? So you don't want to try your luck. You just, okay, let me just move along. Even if I don't like him, the worst that I will do is that I will not come out openly to tell people to go and vote for him.
All right, let's look at INEC now and the conduct of the election. And I think we've not really spoken much about INEC, and of course, which is the body where everyone, the major focus of Nigerians now, looking at, the beavers working, observers say the beavers worked perfectly fine. The IREV also, the, results were uploaded in real time. And of course, we saw upload of the results. It was also announced early, unlike other elections. Now, what changed, between 2023 and 2026? How would you rate also the performance of INEC in this election?
Well, using this particular election to rate the performance of INEC is not the best, because this is just an off-cycle election. And all their power was concentrated on Ekiti.
But people, we also talk about using off-cycle election as a yardstick to know where we are going, to know what's coming ahead of us.
Especially, well, it's like saying you do mock exam, and the mock will determine your performance in the main exam.
Not the performance, but what we should be expecting from the major examination.
Yes, no. In fact, sometimes they use it to test the student. How prepared are they for the main exam? Okay, so that's all we can get from this kind of, yes, it has shown some level of improvement. If the beavers, if people can confirm that beavers worked perfectly, if elections started in time, because those are the issues that they normally, and then transmission of results. Because I think by 7 p.m. that day, they've already uploaded about 95% of the results. So people could follow what was going on. But how that will transfer to the major election, the general election, is what anybody cannot predict. Because situations won't be the same, especially around a big country like Nigeria. Again, look at Ekiti. How many local governments do they have? 16 local governments. Can you compare that to your state? 33. Ekiti is a relatively small state. So it's quite easy for them to have materials, everything, on time to those people. But when you have to deal with bigger states, the result may not be, the outcome may not be the same.
So looking ahead, for 2027 general elections now, what should we be expecting?
Well, we should expect that INEC will do what they are supposed to do and do it the right way. When they introduced the beavers, of course, initially we have a lot of problems with beavers. And in some areas, people will vote without the beavers. But they have, all over the last 2 years, they have introduced things that will make people to use beavers. Because if there's an election and there's no beavers used, the result is cancelled. So that in itself is now telling people that we have to play by the rule. Of course, with experience, we are better at what they are doing. So I still expect that by 2027, INEC will have learned from all the mistakes from all the off-cycle election that they have conducted, and hopefully that will translate to a better election.
Right,
but however, it doesn't matter how good the election is. Don't expect that all politicians will accept the outcome of any election in Nigeria.
All right, we have a commercial break now, Prof, and when we return, I want us to shortly look at voter apathy and, of course, looking at 2027 general election coming. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
A shared moment lived in the now.
Home. It's when concussion rice comes to the rescue, when your homies arrive for sports night or girls hangout.
Home is the moment we live. And what's in the pot? After all, what's home without food?
That's why we say, let's go home. There's food at home.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Still talking about Ekiti governorship poll, Prof. You have said we should not use the off-cycle election as a yardstick for what to expect for 2027 election. But looking at turnout now in terms of, we've been having over the years, apart from this off-cycle election also, even the general election in Nigeria, we've been having a decline in voter turnout. For 2027, what should we be expecting? And a lot of people there seems to be a lot of noise about 2027 election, a lot of agitations, from Nigerians, and everyone is, that seems to be the conversation of everyone's lips. But what should Nigerians do for 2027? Some people are saying, oh, our elections, our vote doesn't count. Some people say, oh, when we vote, we might not really see the outcome of who we voted for. How should we begin to speak to Nigerians about 2027 election, and what should we expect from Nigerians?
I think Nigerians must encourage themselves, because if you don't take part in an election, you have no reason to complain about the outcome. If on the day of election you sit in your room watching on television and listening to what is going on, then you are not being a good citizen. So Nigerians should learn to be good citizens so that they will come out to vote. That way you can be part of the people that will decide what is going to happen then.
But when we feel like our vote is not counting, our candidates are not, being...
You see, some years back, I think, yes, you can say your vote didn't count, because I've been part of election where agents or parties, I saw them, they were thumbprinting, and they were putting, so they have an agreement. Obasanjo against Falai. I voted at Islamic High School. And they were there. The two agents, they agreed. 10 for Obasanjo, 5 for Falai, or something like that. So when the outcome came, and Falai was making noise that the election was rigged, I said, are you sure you also had as many votes as was credited to you? So things like that happen. But we must strive that continuously we improve the process. But when people already believe that it doesn't matter if I come out to vote, that's why we are always talking about voters' apathy. But even talking about that voters' apathy, it depends on the statistics that you are using. Okay, now we are basing our statistics on 1 million plus registered in Ekiti. Are we sure? Yes, 1 million on paper. Are we sure those 1 million actually exist anywhere in reality? Those who are because they are yet to clean up their voters register. Some people have died. In fact, many will have died.
And you think INEC would not have sorted this before bringing out?
No, they have not. They have not done that. If I listen to the electoral commissioner for Ekiti State, and he said that much, They have not had the opportunity. There was a time they wanted people to come out so that they can see who is still alive, who is where. Then they stopped it. So until when we have that, we cannot be talking of voters apathy. Then we have been saying, okay, the number of voters have been going down. If you want to compare that to when Obasanjo came in, of course, there was no control. Those were the areas when people will snatch ballot box. If you now say the turnout then was high, are we really talking about what really happened or what we imagine?
So you say we've never really paid attention to that percentage of people who come out to vote, even
No,
from time past?
We have been basing that on the wrong premise. We have been assuming that we have this number of potential voters. But until when we know the number of potential voters, then we cannot talk about voters apathy.
Do you feel like people not coming out to vote can also contribute to, candidates, finding a way to rig the election? People not participating in the election. Can this help the candidates to rig the election? In terms of he didn't come out to vote, so there's a way they can manipulate it to their own favor, to their own benefits.
Does it give them the higher power to rig election because Nigerians do not come out to vote?